Dylan Weaver here, inviting you to join today's duo of hosts, including myself, for an extended period of humor, analysis, and exhilaration. Excitement, that is. Welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm not acknowledging what just happened.
I mean, you just did, Andrew.
Yep.
That's your name. You're Andrew Acebo.
That's true.
You co-host this podcast for me for reasons unknown.
I'm fond of your presence.
No. Well, that's sweet.
Yeah,
that makes one of us. We're
Don't pull that
talking
lever.
this week about episode 859, The Long End, Part 1.
Dylan, having your hand on that lever, it's not making this any better. It just makes me scared. Sorry, this is so over the top for an episode that I'm so excited to talk about.
Hey, I mean, maybe that's why we're over the top.
Hell yeah.
It is an episode that is written and directed by Mr. Paul McCusker. And it's the first episode of the Green Rain Conspiracy that was released after we started this show.
Wow!
It came out January 3rd of 2019 on the AIO Club, and then April 20th of 2019 on the radio.
Interesting.
So this was while we were still deep in the...
Novacom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe, were we into Aftermath at that? I don't think so.
I don't think by April, no.
No,
because we started in September, October-ish. So yeah. Yeah, we were still very much in Novacom land. And
we were talking so much smack about New Odyssey.
Yeah, I mean, I stand by most of it. I also don't know how much we were talking at that time.
No, that's true.
Because I feel like our scope was very, very limited to Novacom and much of nothing else.
Yeah, no. And maybe that was good? I don't know. I haven't listened back to those old episodes, but I've been kind of inspired to do so. I'm curious to see what would happen if I listened to what 2 years ago this podcast sounded like and what I sounded like.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we weren't talking much about the scope of Adventures in Odyssey, and we're talking way more about Novacom, and maybe we were better for it, but unfortunately, this is what we've become. We started out as a, comedic look at something that we liked as a child that we weren't sure we were going to like anymore. Then we fell in love and then into hate all over again.
It's been a glorious
And now
endeavor.
we just yo-yo.
Yep, we just yo-yo back and forth, and it's real good for my brain. I like both extremes. I find otherwise I experience too much peace.
Yeah, anyways, way too much about us off the top of this episode, but you're getting it anyways. So I don't know. There's not a ton of things to note here. Actor-wise, we've talked about everyone else in this arc except for Zach Callison, who's coming in to play old 2-Bits Tom Luker.
What a guy.
The note about him is that we have talked about him before. He was the original Matthew Parker.
Interesting.
So back when we were covering the first Green Ring episodes, he was there voicing Matthew Parker.
Yeah.
But now they'd, at this point, recast him twice, I believe, because, and I would like to, once again draw attention to this, it has been 7 years since this arc began.
Yeah, they're really not quick in, moving through the pace of these long arcs anymore, certainly.
Yeah, well, and they're not trying to tell as concise a story.
No.
The whole point of this, and I think a thing that works is that, and maybe doesn't play into the way we try and run this show, but is that now everything feels like it's a little bit more interconnected and stuff's maybe moving a step at a time here and there, but it's not doing the same when we were talking Novacom, those episodes were very siloed off. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Blackguard. By the time we get here, like, we're talking about like stuff that plays into this episode is like Eugene and Katrina taking in Buck as a foster child, mm-hmm. and Penny and Wooten getting married, mm-hmm. and Jason moving back to Odyssey, which we did cover in the scope of this arc, but isn't really Green Ring. We just kind of felt like, okay, well, that like fits into this whole thing and gives us an excuse to talk about Jack and Joanne's send off and a couple other things where like it worked, but like it's not. It maybe is doing a better job now of being one coherent world where this stuff just, like, occasionally they pick up something that was talked about previously.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose you're right that I think it might be less conducive, but also, you know, the variety of content that Odyssey puts out in the 24 episodes they publish a year, because they have characters, you know, kind of set aside for the Adventure Club, and they have all these different things going on. Whereas before, if you have just the one show and it's airing and you've got 24 episodes of content to produce a year, you know, you can make 18 of them very plot centric and have, you know, 6 BTVs or whatever, anything else.
Yep. Yeah.
So it definitely plays both to the benefit and demise of the show, I would say.
Yeah. The other thing worth noting here, because we've brought it up the last 2 times, this episode and the subsequent episodes, because of how they group multi-parters, are Avery Award winning. They won 3 mm-hmm. Avery Awards: Best Sound, Best Script, and Best Episode. So...
Which I feel like those awards were a lot more impressive when they were putting out more.
I don't think the awards have existed that long.
That's fair.
I think that they are a much more recent occurrence. But
well, have we asked Avery the question
They started in 2010, so.
Like, why did the Avery Award... Like, who are they compete? They're competing against themselves, obviously, for which episode is best?
Yeah, it's just, like, I don't know, people... like fan nominate. It's just I don't know. It's an award show. That's what.
That's fair. They are kind of all
show, but
relatively.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's not like a. Yeah, I don't think it's like anything super interesting, but because I think it's while I don't like think that they like matter much in the grand scheme of things, I think it's interesting to know how the people listening at the time mm-hmm. received episodes. Yeah, and I think it's also really worth note that like the Green Ring episodes that came out, like the last 3 that we've covered, have all won that award.
Oh yeah, so I guess
Labyrinth, Home Again. Oh, I guess not Out of the Picture, but Labyrinth, Home Again, Long End. Like these 3 recent big arcs mm-hmm. were all.
Yeah, I mean it's a fan favorite arc. It makes a lot of sense, and honestly, McCusker is in his bag, and we'll get into what we like about this episode. But you know,
did we talk about the fact that he wrote and directed this?
Yes, we did.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
We mentioned that.
Yeah, because I think that is particularly worth
noting. And I mean, just goes to show that they can still do Odyssey like this, 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think this episode, and we'll get into it as we go on, but very much benefits from being siloed off in New Odyssey. Mm-hmm. Like this is them getting to like pull characters from throughout this arc, but it's mm-hmm. all like characters that feel at home in this era.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it doesn't have the Home Again mm-hmm. problem, but also it's like, holy crap, look at all these people they have and are able to pull together for this. Like mm-hmm. this rocks. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about that as we go through.
We're gonna be doing a lot of talking because it's a podcast.
Look at that. All right. With that being said, promo time.
On the next adventure in Odyssey, mysterious packages arrive with clues to Buck's past.
Dear Buck, these items are an attempt to honor the last wishes of a dear friend. Felicia Larson
That's the woman who knew Buck's mother. But danger is close at hand.
It's a pretty sick world we live in when a woman dies and they wreck her house.
It's just the beginning of the mystery. Next time on Adventures in Odyssey.
I miss spicy intros. I miss the fun. I miss the unpredictable. Yeah. Just what are we gonna get? Are we gonna get Chris singing to the plants with the intro music theme?
I'm also just I guess Adventures in Odyssey does still air on the radio, and that must be what they have these promos for. But it is weird thinking about promos in a day where most people just download the episodes when they come out on the app.
Yeah, no, of course. Do they still use them on witsend.org for promotions?
Probably they do some internal promos like that. Although I think at least my experience with that was that they promoted by album. So I think these are truly what go out to radio broadcasters who air the show. That would be an interesting experience, figuring out which of our what our local, maybe I'll do that for the team. See if I can listen live on the radio to an episode.
I mean, you won't be able to pause it to take notes. So.
I know. It would just be an interesting experience.
We could, we could do a Mystery Science Theater style where it's just our silhouette sitting in front of a radio.
Yeah, great. And then we talk over an audio-only medium. That'll be perfect.
Oh, yeah. It will cause no problems. It will be so easy to edit.
Anyway, you were talking about boring promos, but you know what this episode doesn't have? A boring intro.
Certainly not.
I did not know we still got character intros.
Yeah, it's great. And Eugene's doing the intro, and he sounds so excited, and Adventures in Odyssey. And
I know. And I was like, oh my word, it has been a long time since I've had to record a new intro.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you folks have already heard it at this point, but
how was it?
Yeah.
Did we do a good job? Please say yes. I might cry.
It's just, I don't know. It is bizarre to hear that over the new theme. And it's a different script and whatever, but I'm just it had been so long.
It really took me aback.
Yeah, I did not know that was a thing that New Odyssey could do, and I think that's cool.
It's so exciting. So the episode begins, if we're ready to get right into it, with Jason and Wally are they at they're not at the antique shop, are they?
They are.
Oh, they are at the antique.
Triple J Antiques.
Jack, Joanne, and Jason's Antiques.
Yep. Because I don't know if you guys have ever picked up on this, but Odyssey really likes their J names. All the Whitakers are J's.
Yep.
And then we also have
Except
Jack and Joanne. Well, do we care about Monty? Dude, I will say, spoiler for later in this episode, not a character I expected to be back at all.
Me neither. It was so cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Oh man. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about it. So Wally is dropping off stuff to be appraised at Jason's antique shop that he's watching for Jack and Joanne as previously established. He picked it up from Millsburg. It's a hope chest and a rocking chair.
Yep.
Jason's like, I don't really know anything about this, but I'll bring somebody down here to take a look at it. Yep. I got a buddy of mine, full pawn shop.
Yeah, and obviously it becomes a very key plot point, but my antenna were immediately up when I was like,
hope chest?
No, Millsburg.
Oh.
They referenced Millsburg, a town that had only existed in the previous episode that we covered.
Yeah.
Where, that's where Buck goes to find out about his past. And I was just like, oh, well, this is very exciting.
A new location. Odinton, perhaps.
Yeah, because I truly did not know what this episode was going to be. Because the next note I have after this scene happens is, oh, this is another Buck episode.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't know.
Well, no, we didn't. Didn't we look at it last time by the very end? I knew it was going to be about Buck's backstory.
You did. Yeah, but you didn't. I cut you off before you told me, or I forgot, or I blocked it out, or whatever.
You suppressed your memory.
Regardless, I was pleasantly, like, I was excited when I saw or when I heard Buck show up, and I was like, oh, okay, we got Buck again. And once again, tying it into this greater thing they've got going on. And like, I don't know if this is going to come into play in other episodes, but Eugene is telling Buck that Dale Jacobs wants to interview him about con artists. And I was just like, oh, weird, like, we brought him back for Labyrinth, but now I guess Dale gets to stick around. Like, is he actually going to show up, or are we just referencing him? Either way, this is cool.
He's just writing for the paper. But yeah, it's great that, he shows up in the Labyrinth. We've already been We've already made his acquaintance.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's just like, oh, yeah. He's just like a known person in this arc, despite being like also one of the oldest, characters on the show.
Yeah, just another, sin removed, as it were.
And Buck's kind of like, I don't know that I want to do that interview. I really want, like, I don't want to be like the con artist guy. I'm trying to put my past behind me, which I like really appreciate and I think is good. And then Eugene's kind of like, but I just don't like understand how someone could like constantly lie. And I'm like, all right, Eugene, lay off maybe a little bit.
No, yeah, he really doesn't. And he doesn't really get better later, because he kind of does the same thing later. He's like, it just takes a lot of fortitude to just do that and just lie all the time, saying it to somebody who, did that.
Right, yeah. It is like a weird lack of sensitivity that I hope is explored in this 3-parter.
Speaking of what is explored, UPX.
Dude, UPX is so funny.
Yeah.
I wrote UPS, then I was like, wait, no, it wasn't.
No.
And did the rewind 30 seconds and listened again and was like, oh, they said UPX. That's so good.
Yeah, and I was like, so what does the X stand for?
It still stands for Express, I'm sure.
Okay.
It is FedEx and UPS mashed together.
UPX.
Is it?
How has that not happened in reality yet?
Hey, Andrew, we do not support monopolies on the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
No, we don't.
Let's not let it happen. We need competition.
Yes, we do need competition. But the only way to compete with Amazon is going to make another monopoly.
It would also be great if we still had a postal service that was, federally funded. I like that idea. We should keep going with that.
I think a pretty smart guy came up with that. I mean, it was a couple hundred years ago, but like, it's definitely worth revisiting.
Yeah. That does seem to have like lost a lot of steam with the presidential election, where it seems like, okay, your USPS might be safe, and I'm like, oh, thank you. That was like a weird anxiety to have.
Fall
of 2020, where I was just like, what if like there isn't like national mail service? This is weirdly existential.
Yeah, this could get really problematic.
But yeah, it seems like it's okay and stable. And if all else fails, we do have UPX.
Yes, the
truck that
number
Eugene...
1 second rate mail delivery service.
Yep, it's a truck Eugene recognizes immediately by year.
Yes, and based on misfiring cylinders.
Yep.
So there's a package delivery. They're not
a couple big boxes.
Yeah.
And they're addressed to Buck from
Felicia Larson.
Woo! We're getting connections.
Callback.
So good to know that plot thread was not just going to be dropped after last episode, as I had speculated.
Oh, I totally thought we were never going to hear from Felicia Larson again.
Yeah, no, I did not expect her to be like.
From her,
well, yes, but I did not expect her to be like plot central.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it though, and yep. If anything, this episode made me really want to listen to part 2.
Hey, that's the sign of a good episode. Yeah, we then jump in on this is good old 2-Bits.
Yep.
Tom Luker is going over to Felicia's house and talking, and so he's checking in on the house. Is he talking to Monty?
I don't think he's talking to Monty. I think Monty was hiding.
This is what I'm not sure of, because there's not... Was it Monty doing a voice? There's no one credited as this role. And I didn't listen back to know for sure. But is this just Monty doing a voice, and then he, like, after the guy walks away, goes into secret agent voice and, like, calls it into his superiors? Or is there a second person here? This is a dumb thing to debate on air.
Yeah, no, I really don't know. And I have no context that can really support either argument.
Yeah. I also just didn't realize it, like, the thing we always make fun of Odyssey for is when they, like, have Dr. Regis Blackard speaking, and then, like, 10 seconds into it, he goes, and I am Dr. And that's supposed to be the reveal. And it's like, no, we knew from breath one. I don't know Monty's voice.
No, not yet. No, this is the inverse. We're having quite the problem.
Well, so I'm like, this could totally have been Monty here. Who knows? You don't need to write us. But then when he shows up later and they like when he's with Jason and they say his name, I was like, oh, Monty. Yeah. I did not expect Monty here. Then I was like, shoot, was he already here?
Was I just blind? Was I ear blind?
I think I might be ear blind, folks.
Ugh. It afflicts dozens of Americans. So Two Bits is inquiring with agent person who's pretending to be in charge of the estate, presumably talking about the house being damaged, and then he mentions that the other house was damaged. She rented another house, and it was also torn up because Two Bits notices that the house was demolished with an axe, a chainsaw? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, presuming they were ransacking it, right? Who ransacks with a chainsaw? That's my question.
Good question. No answer.
Mr. Skint, apparently, I guess that's the answer.
Well, and Two Bits.
And Two Bits. Two Bits is a loose cannon, I'll tell you what. Dude, in Odyssey...
the loosest of cannons.
This guy is hard. He just grabs a bat.
I do love that. So the way this plays is there's a guy at Felicia Larson's house. Another guy walks up asking about stuff. The house has been demolished, stripped down, and he's trying to get information about, like, I would love to, like, get something from here. And they're like, oh yeah, Felicia passed away. And he was like, oh, well, my family knew her well. There was some, like, nostalgic stuff in here, if I could get. And they're like, look, go to the auction house. Like, they'll have a list of who had that stuff. So this is, one, how we establish that Felicia Larson is dead. And two, we can do the whole, like, oh, okay, so, like, having heard the previous episode, this is, like, that thing that Skint wanted in the previous episode, he is now, like, coming to collect. And this guy, Luker, probably works for him. And then we find out that, like, okay, so the secret agent's like, hey, this was Tom Luker was here, we're sending he bought the bait or whatever.
Yeah, he took the bait.
Took the bait, that's the expression.
He bought the bait. I tried.
Well, he bought, like, our deception. He took the bait. But mixing metaphors, why not?
I think that it works maybe both ways.
He just bought a big old bucket of worms.
Yeah, it's useful for worm things.
Yeah. So many worm things. And so, yeah, he... we hear about this whole sting operation kind of thing that's being set up. And then, Luker goes out to the car and Skint's there. And we find out that Luker works for Skint.
He's the new Buck.
Yeah, exactly. I literally have in my notes, 2 Bits is Buck 2.0. That's both the bits.
He got him. Well, and I kept looking at his name and I was like, oh, obviously, so it's a play on, like, shaving a haircut, 2 Bits, right? And I couldn't stop laughing because who names a mobster after that?
So just, like, 2 Bit is, like, I don't know. I feel like 2 Bit's a thing.
Isn't it an insult?
Yes, very much so. It's like saying like someone's not smart.
Yeah.
I'm Googling this now because I'm like not. Oh, yeah. So 2-bit means insignificant, cheap, or worthless. That's some North American slang, but 2-bit Matthews was one of the outsiders.
Oh.
Which now makes a lot of sense, and I forgot.
Have we established that Paul McCusker's connection to the outsiders?
What's Paul McCusker's connection to the outsiders?
Oh, I didn't know if he had one or not. I was hoping that you would remind me that he loves the outsiders.
No, 2-bit is just like a gangster dude.
Yeah.
Or like a kid, but he's a greaser or whatever. Like the name maybe has a little bit more street cred when you consider like it's connected to this like seminal piece of
film.
Art. Yes. Well, and book.
Mm-hmm. There's a book?
Dude, The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, one of my dad's favorite stories. Well worth the read.
Okay.
Written by S.E. Hinton was, I want to say, a teenager when she wrote it.
Oh.
And then Francis Ford Coppola made it into a movie that also has literally everyone in its cast, including Flea.
Yeah, and Chris Traeger from Parks and Rec. What's his name? Rob Lowe.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Rob Lowe. Yeah. It's got a lot of people. Anyways, 2-bits.
2-bits.
2-bits Luker.
And a shape for it. Not a haircut. I'm growing out my hair. You can tell because it's an audio medium. But Bits and Barkers, Dylan. Bits and Barkers is Skint's exclamation when he finds out that he cannot get the Hope Chest from the house.
Yep.
And yeah.
Which I thought would already know because I thought he ransacked the place.
That was the impression that I was under, but maybe.
Well, so maybe 2-bits was just trying to get the location of the stuff because they went there and it had already been emptied out, and so they ransacked it because this stuff might be hidden in the floorboards.
That would make sense.
Or someone else ransacked it. Maybe the Socs got in there and
the chairman.
Did their own thing.
What's he up to?
No, that was an outsiders joke. The two teams are the greasers and the Socs.
News to me. Thank you. The audience is laughing hysterically.
You're so uncultured.
I am. I'm truly a
this
swine.
One dumb piece of culture that I have held on to.
Well, I've watched the movie before. I watched it in a friend's basement, half-heartedly at a cookout. So I've clearly committed it to memory.
Granted, I have not seen it in, I don't know, half a lifetime. It's been a long time since I watched that movie or read the book, but I remember it fondly. It would have been 2011, 2012 when I did that.
Chomping through audiobooks, so
right around the time that the original Green Room was coming out.
Hey.
So, we jump back to and I'm just kind of putting the pieces together ahead of time. But just my note says Wally purchased whatever the thing is that they need.
Yeah. No, he paid for it.
Yep,
and he's getting it.
Mm-hmm. And so, Buck has unwrapped his gifts. Mm-hmm. There's a painting and a mirror. Mm-hmm. And there's also a letter there from Felicia, which says, kind of it was my duty to give you this stuff, due to a relationship with a dear friend. And they're all like, is that his mom? I thought they weren't actually friends. What's going on? And Eugene's like, I could never actually find any record of Stacia Bartley, which I was like, oh, very good that you did some research into that.
Yeah,
cool.
Great
also,
job.
why did they pick the last name Bartley?
I don't know.
It's so close to Barkley, which is such an important name in the show. Did we talk about this last episode? I think we did, but I gotta bring it up again.
It's worth bringing it because it's still just as upsetting.
Every time I go Bartley, Barkley.
Could be either.
Anyways, they then start to put together some pieces, and there's a painting there's a mirror in the painting, and it's the same as the mirror he has.
But there's nothing seemingly special about the mirror.
No.
Except for it's got something...
It's got a smudge.
It's got a smudge.
It's not a great mirror.
But then it's got the Boy Scout thing. French thing that Katrina says, and then Buck says, "How do you know that?" And she says, "Because she's married to Eugene." And I was kind of upset because I wanted Katrina to be like, "I'm smart too."
Yes, but I also love that as a joke.
No, me too. Yeah,
but yes, totally I had conflicted feelings about it too, where I was like, Katrina would have known that before she met Eugene, but also I like your joke.
As a scholar of Eugene and Katrina's relationship arc,
yeah,
she would have gotten that question on Truth and Trivia.
But yeah, so the painting is the person who is facing away from the painter. Mm-hmm. Sitting in a rocking chair, and I was like, "Oh,
rocking chair."
That's what our buddy
Jason's got.
Yeah, from WALL-E.
And isn't there a hope chest in the painting as well?
There is, though that's not established yet.
Oh, okay.
It's literally my next note line. Never mind. I guess it is established basically now, and it's just like, oh, there's a hope chest under the mirror, and I was like, oh, and then Katrina's like, well, let's go get this. Maybe this painting is valuable, or your inheritance, or there's something more going on here. Let's go take it to Jacques Henri. And I was like, oh my word, this is everything I needed.
Appraisal.
Yeah.
And we don't even get Jacques, and it does not disappoint.
No, it doesn't. I was like, man, this cast is stacked. And then they showed up, and there wasn't. Jacques wasn't there.
Polehouse isn't even showed up yet.
Dude, Polehouse is in this episode. I know. It's wild. But they show up and Penny's there. And I think that is one of the things that is so impressive about this cast is that it is just glancing at the wiki here, a 10-person cast, and none of them are writers, producers, directors on the show.
No wonder it won all the awards.
Like, they're all hired actors doing all these parts, which is not like for a 10 character deep show is mighty impressive. So yeah, anyway, so Penny, Jacques is in Boston, regaining a new understanding for his hatred of 1980s
artists. Which made me laugh a lot.
And Penny kind of swoons at that, which is funny.
Yeah.
Also,
Isn't it so French?
Oh my word. There's a hilarious Eugene doing a Miss Wise, Miss Bassett, Penny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Eugene had to go to first name because he couldn't quite get around like the weirdness of calling this person by a different name. And I love
Amen.
it.
That's what I would go for in his case.
Yes, I'm all for Eugene using first names.
Oh yeah, we support it. We stand it. So they're talking. Penny looks at the painting. She says it looks homemade. It looks like it was painted for somebody that they really cared about. It's on not normal canvas. She says It's like a canvas like she hasn't seen before. It's like plastic kind of.
And essentially, like, they didn't spend money on this canvas.
Yeah.
Or maybe
they painted it on the back of a bowl or something.
Well,
that was my thought.
Gonna say, or maybe
it's made of money.
Well, no. You know what she said? It's watercolor on a canvas she's never seen before that was plasticky.
Oh, you got to put it in water?
You probably like dump water on it and there's a message behind it.
Yeah, although it would ruin the note that's inside of it.
The notes in the back of the frame.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I'm putting that out there. If I'm right, and I just had another revelation on air,
I owe you at least one fist bump.
That would be pretty cool. But yeah,
would you like a soft drink of your choice?
I'm kind of convinced I'm right about this.
I think that you're right too. Wow, that's really good. I'm so proud of us.
I wish I had the quote, because there's like essentially a riddle. Something about like looking through a thing, and that's how they end up finding like the clue on the inside of the mirror. But I'm like, what about the clue that's underneath the painting? But you couldn't go for that clue first, because then you'd ruin, the rest of the information.
True.
And I don't want them to lose the painting, but at the same time, I'm like, watercolors on plasticky canvas.
That's pretty suspicious.
It is.
Awfully mystery-y.
Sounds like a mystery. Penny does notice that there is a BB carved into the rocking chair and the hope chest.
Yeah.
And then Katrina asks if she's able to read the signature, and Penny's like, "Oh, I can read a doctor's prescription from 20 feet
paces.
20 paces, my bad."
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. And she's like, because earlier it was established like they could not see who had signed the painting, and Penny's just like, "It says Dolly Tender."
Yeah. I mean, duh.
I can read anything. And Buck's like, "Ooh, I know what Dolly Tender is, and now I'm wondering about BB."
Yeah,
I think I got that one figured out too.
I think I know what BB stands for. Cutscene to the Hagglers with Wally and the boy.
Where Tom Luker walks in, picks up a baseball bat, is like, "Nice bat, let me just swing this around at stuff, give me a hope chest."
Yeah, he barges in and asks him about... Does he even ask him about the hope chest?
Yes, just like barely though.
Yeah.
And it was set up earlier with Skint and Luker being like, Luker wanted to like go back and shake down the person at the house, and Skint was just kind of like, "Yeah, hold your horses there, boy." Like,
that's a pretty good impression.
Thank you. You'll be fine. Let's not draw attention. And here he's just like coming in, bats a swinging,
and like, this is insane. Like,
he's so unhinged, and I love it.
This amount of confrontation in Odyssey is unheard of. He just like. Yeah, it's like Breaking Bad-esque.
His lack of follow through. So like Wally tells him it's at Jason's. 2-Bit walks out, and Wally just immediately calls Jason and then the police.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's like he's
like a video game character.
No, then he would be called 8-Bit.
But that was good.
So
I totally tried to set you up for that.
Sure.
That missed shot was actually an alley-oop.
So then we jump back to Buck, and he's just like, "Okay, so I remember the name Dolly. I always got the impression that she was like an ex-girlfriend of Skint's, and I'm pretty sure the BB stands for Bucky Bear."
Yeah, because Felicia Larson said that his mom used to call him Bucky Bear, which is adorable.
Mm-hmm. And
what did your mom call you when you were little?
I don't think I had one. Not that I know.
Just Dylan?
Yeah.
Dilly Boo?
I don't know of anything.
Dill-ishous?
Ew, no. I get Dill Pickle for a while. I don't think I was very young, but Dill Pickle was definitely like a family nickname.
I know one guy who goes by Goose, and I call him Goose as much as I can.
Yeah. Nicknames are fun. We should bring them back.
It's true. Dill.
Ugh.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So then Penny then is also like, "Oh, let me remove the frame. There's sometimes like a certificate of authenticity behind here, and maybe some additional information." And then we jump to Triple J Antiques, which is the first time I heard that name, and it made me smile.
Yeah, I like it. Do you think they got a new sign, or they just like painted an extra
J?
Yeah.
Or they just covered up the "and" sign with another J.
Yeah, that was
like,
my thought, like white out and squeeze it in.
I love it. Luker walks in and tries to shake down Jason and is scared off by police sirens.
Yeah, because Wally just called the police, and he's a
like,
dummy.
"Did you call the police?" And he's like, "No, but Wally probably did. He let me know you were coming."
Yeah.
And Luker's just coming in unhinged, and Jason's just like, yeah, try me.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good, like, Townsend Colvin plays it so well.
He really does.
And, like, it works just so perfectly, because it's Jason, like, super secret agent. Some guy comes in with a baseball bat. You're like, this isn't bioterrorism.
Yeah.
Well, we got this. We'll be okay.
And then 2-Bit runs off. Monty comes out of the shadows. It's Monty.
It's Monty. I freaked out.
And we find out he's been tracking Skint and 2-Bits. And he's like, let's keep Pole House out of the loop for now. You know, we don't need to tell him. him this, I'm just gonna like slide back into the shadows. And then Polehouse walks in, and so does Wally. And Polehouse is just kind of like doing his weird not trusting people thing again, which was bothersome. I was just like, I thought we grew past this. I don't know why you're like, ooh, this criminal showed up in Odyssey and went to you first, Wally, and then to you, Jason. And we both know you guys have checkered pasts. And it's like, yeah, but they also were the two people who owned this chest that he's after.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems just like a coincidence. And also, Wally definitely just cleared his name. Like, I will tolerate zero Wally slander.
Yes, I'm with you. Wally is great.
Wally for
good
praise.
Guy. Yeah. Hey, maybe. And then we jump back to
Penny and Eugene and Buck and Katrina.
Yeah. Do you remember what the painting's titled, Andrew?
I don't, actually.
Little Miss Priss can't see what's right in front of herself.
That's what it's titled. I thought that was the note, because I have it as Little Miss Priss can't see what's right in front of yourself. Oh, wow.
That is the title of the painting, Penny says.
That's pretty straightforward, huh?
Yeah, and so they're all like, ooh, well, it's the mirror.
Yeah, obviously.
And I'm like, yes, it is.
It's the mirror.
Because they were getting something out of the mirror, but what if it's also the painting?
Mm-hmm. Well, and my question was, what, like...
Because her reflection isn't in the mirror.
No, yeah. There's got to be something else going on with the painting. I don't think that it's...
The fact that the rocking chair and the Hope chest are both there.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's going to be some, like, you, like, have to recreate the painting in some way and it unlocks something.
Yeah, to get into the Hope chest, or...
Right.
They got to find secret clue hidden in there.
Yeah.
Because Penny said earlier, it's full of messages, which is just a plot device of, we can make this mean anything.
Yeah. But, I'm liking it so far.
Oh, I love it.
And yeah, it just makes me happy, all of these characters that are involved.
Yeah. So they run back. Eugene and Katrina and Buck run back to their house to look in the mirror, and they notice that there's kind of a smudge in the upper right-hand corner.
Right. Eugene explains how mirrors work, having a black background and whatnot, and then they do this whole thing where they, peel off part of the back corner and find a note.
There's like a pocket in the adhesive or something that allows for you to, keep something there. It's very cleverly done.
But it's got to be dark, which would
secured.
create the smudge. And and it's gray. And they unfold it, and it's Buck's birth certificate.
Yeah.
Roll credits.
Roll credits. That's it. What?
I love it.
Freaked out.
We talked about it last episode. The fact that, does this boy not have a birth certificate?
He does. He does. Now we know. It was in a mirror this whole time.
We're gonna figure out his and there has to be some reveal on that birth certificate.
Next episode?
I hope.
Hopefully they don't make us wait till part 3.
Yeah. And I'm just like, what's the reveal gonna be? Because I thought we already knew his mom and his his actual last name and like that whole thing. But is there a secret here?
He's actually a Whitaker.
I mean, you never know. But yeah, and then that's what we go out of, and we actually get a Chris outro, which is exciting. And she sets up what I'm curious to see, but from the way she's talking in that outro, I kind of think that this might be Buck's Come to Jesus arc.
Oh.
The way she's talking...
that's so exciting.
The way she's talking there makes me think that. And I could be wrong, and I don't...
She does have that, kind of mini altar call?
Yeah. And she she says some stuff of, Buck's still trying to, figure things out and whatever. And I'm just like, are you setting up that, the end of the long end is next episode is he unravels his family past and then also becomes a Christian in this arc, and I feel like odds are decent,
pretty high.
It just feels like that's the groundwork being laid.
I'm walking all on that groundwork. I'm here for it as long as they do a good job and don't murder it and make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I doubt it, considering how much I like this episode. I mean, it won a bunch of awards.
It's a good start.
As long as we just get this same cast in the next 2 episodes, which I believe will be the case.
Maybe with some additional bonuses. I would love a Wooten to show up.
Oh yeah, Wooten would fit right in. No Wit, obviously.
I know. Wit making an appearance, always pleasant. I mean, almost always pleasant. I would love for Dale to show up as we're setting that up. I assume Jacques Henri is not going to be here, but it would be cool if he was. But regardless, real good episode.
I feel so good going into the next one. I was so scared as to how. I mean, this is the end of the Green Ring.
I know. I know, and it's such recent episodes, and it just made me smile. So I like all the actors here. I like the things that we've got in play. I like this, like, Skint's back, where he's being hunted by Monty. And somehow Wally and Jason wound up in this because of the antiques thing, and Buck's finding out his past, which means like Eugene and Katrina get to be there, and Penny's there because of the art. It just like it comes together in a really satisfying way throughout the episode that doesn't feel cheap. It feels earned. And and
that's what makes it so rich, where it's like it doesn't feel like a plot convenience. It doesn't feel forced by any means. I know that there are episodes of Odyssey where stuff happens that is exciting, but it's not an exciting episode. This has a lot of exciting stuff that happens, and it is such an exciting episode.
Yeah. Good app.
And it's only got a 91%.
Yeah. It also only has 13 votes because this is past the prime of people casting votes on the wiki, it seems.
That's unfortunate.
But anyways, anything you'd like to add here as we head out, Andrew?
I'm good.
Notes,
I talk
any of that
enough
stuff?
as it is.
Yeah, that's fair. I am also feeling like I'm in pretty good shape here. So yeah, we've got 2 more episodes to go of Green Ring Conspiracy Saga, and then we will be doing some other fun stuff, guest episodes and the whatnot. So look forward to that in the coming weeks, and we'll see you next for episode 860, The Long End, part 2.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
WadFam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. Follow the podcast at WadFamChalkPod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. The Long End Part 1 was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Sabo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haberstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the WadFam Chalk Pod.